I worked myself to death in my past life, but reborn as a noble. This time, I'm the one pulling the strings, not the one being crushed. Ryan is playing the ultimate salesman of the century, pitching his city project to the Elven Queen. She's clinging to her forest traditions, but Ryan is a relentless capitalist. He's betting his reputation that he can convince her to bankroll his industrial dream, refusing to take no for an answer despite her clear skepticism toward human commercial madness. He rants about human ambition, flying machines and submarines. He's describing modern tech to an elf who's only ever known trees. She thinks he's a lunatic, but his sheer, unshakable confidence in these impossible inventions is finally capturing her full attention as she listens to him talk about the potential of the future. He paints a picture of her on a skyscraper, looking down at the world with power. It's a culture shock. She's never heard of skyscrapers. But the way he describes the view makes her wonder if humans are secretly pulling some genius strings she never noticed in her centuries of living in the woods. She pauses, staring into her crystal ball to weigh the risks. She's weighing Ryan's commercial dream against the dark, crumbling future she saw in her own visions. She's trying to calculate if this human is her people's long-awaited savior or their ultimate tragic and inevitable ruin as she stares into the swirling light. She says she needs time to consult her tribe. Ryan bows and accepts the delay gracefully. He hands her a VIP ticket to his damn ceremony, hoping to lure her in with a look at his industry. Just as reports arrive of a wild rider rushing toward the city, Rosalind bursts into the room, breathless and wild, dropping to her knees in desperation. She's apologizing like she failed the kingdom, but Ryan just stares at her, confused by the dramatics. She's ready to die for a guy who's living his best life, and the intensity of her loyalty takes everyone off guard. Ryan finds out his sister sent her and is impressed by her loyalty. She took a brutal detour to ambush the enemy, covering massive distance in just 3 days. He asks how she moved so fast without a railroad system, and she looks back at him like he's speaking an alien language. She explains her family is used to it and apologizes for her uncle's trouble. Ryan, however, just turns on his heel and walks out, leaving her alone in the silence. It's a frustratingly quiet exit that leaves her in a vacuum of anxiety, feeling far worse than any immediate execution could ever be. A day later, she's still sitting there, waiting for the axe to fall. She's spiraling into depression, convinced her family name is ruined. Finally, Ryan walks in, looking far too relaxed for someone who just survived a war. And he decides to end the suspense by addressing her directly. He sees her trembling and decides to end the drama. He looks her dead in the eye and asks, "Are you willing to be one of my people?" The weight of the question turns her face into a deep, burning crimson. She is completely flustered, and her face looks like it's about to combust. Ryan pulls up Rosalind's stats and is honestly blown away by what he sees. Perfect, unsacable 100%. She's got elite sword mastery, and her bravery trait is off the charts. Ryan can't help but grin, realizing he's just struck absolute gold with this powerhouse knight standing right in front of him. Ryan praises her immense talent and asks once more if she's truly ready to serve under him. Rosalind, completely misinterpreting his intentions, bows her head and offers her entire self as compensation for her family's past sins. Ryan's eyes widen in genuine shock as he realizes she's taking this conversation into a dangerously suggestive and totally unintended direction. He tries to clarify his stance, but she's already fully committed to the bit. She kneels, offering to toss away her hard-earned dreams of knighthood just to atone with her own body. Ryan has to scramble to stop her before this gets even more awkward, explaining he only wants a loyal subordinate, not a scandalous office romance. He finally lays it out clearly. She's simply joining his ranks, and nobody is holding her family accountable for anything. As the sudden realization hits that he isn't looking for a plaything, her heart absolutely melts. Being a knight was always her true, lifelong dream, and she accepts the honor with pure, unadulterated joy. She's practically glowing now, ecstatic to serve such a reasonable and capable lord. Ryan, meanwhile, is already back to his usual work routine. He settles into his desk chair, grabs a fresh quill, and starts drafting a formal letter to his sister to report that the border crisis is officially resolved. He writes that Rosalind is an elite, high-value knight and orders his staff to send the letter out immediately. He also insists on attaching a special gold-embossed invitation to his grand dam completion ceremony. He needs to show off his industrial progress while scouting for even more talent to grow his blossoming empire. Ryan is deep in thought, plotting his next talent grab, when his aide suddenly interrupts to ask about the captured Grand Duke. Ryan blinks, completely forgetting the guy even existed. He realizes the antagonist is still rotting in his damp dungeon and decides it's finally time for a little face-to-face interrogation. He descends into the cold, dark dungeon to find Castile looking absolutely furious. The Duke calls him a despicable, arrogant boy, but Ryan just laughs in his face, reminding him exactly who is currently stuck behind bars. They start bickering, with the Duke wildly accusing Ryan of using Forbidden's magic in the heat of battle. Castile insists all Forbidden's magicians are strictly banned from normal wars, claiming Ryan broke the ancient code. Ryan realizes the Duke is just talking about those oil barrel explosions. He finds it genuinely hilarious that the Duke thinks he's a visit when he is just a smart guy with great chemistry and better tactical logistics. Ryan tells the Duke he can keep calling it Forbidden's magic if it helps him sleep at night. He pivots to the real question: what is the Orvis Empire actually planning with these attacks? The Duke remains defiant, spewing complete nonsense about why his army keeps crossing the border and testing their defenses. Ryan points out they never actually occupy the land they seize. It's clearly a test, but the Duke refuses to spill the secret behind their mysterious crusades. Ryan leaves the cell with a smug smirk, confident there's a massive conspiracy brewing under the surface. He knows he has to accelerate his industrial plans before things get truly ugly. As he finally turns his back on the prisoner, he walks out of the heavy iron door, already mapping out his next defensive strategy. A few days later, the scene shifts to the capital. Ryan's sister, Priscilla, finally gets her hands on the letter regarding Rosalind. She's relieved the crisis is over and immediately starts pondering what this mysterious dam project mentioned in the letter could possibly be. Priscilla isn't just thinking about engineering, though. She turns to her assistant and orders her to find girls around Rosalind's age immediately. She's on a personal mission to figure out exactly what her little brother's type is, ready to meddle in his love life with professional, royal precision. News of Castile's capture spreads like wildfire, reaching the Emperor of the Orvis Empire. He immediately calls an emergency meeting with his officials to panic about the disaster. They're terrified that Castile is going to leak all their top-secret information to the enemy, turning their entire grand military strategy into an absolute embarrassing joke. The officials start bickering and blaming Castile's impulsiveness. But the Emperor slams his fist down, screaming that he needs solutions, not a room full of crying babies. Someone suggests sending a diplomat to Iceland City for peace negotiations, but the others scoff, refusing to bow down to a trash city. An official named Kraven urges the Emperor to make the right call before their secrets leak out. The Emperor agrees that peace talks are a good cover, but he needs a lead diplomat who is both brave and exceptionally wise. He scans the room, noticing a mysterious silhouette standing confidently in the shadows. Kraven steps up and recommends Welina, the daughter of a disgraced duke who was recently imprisoned for treason. The entire room erupts into pure chaos, calling him insane. But deep down, the Emperor is secretly thrilled because Kraven just nominated the exact pawn he wanted for his twisted game. Kraven lists 3 brilliant reasons for picking her. Her noble status shows sincerity. She is incredibly eloquent, and most importantly, she will work her butt off just to atone for her father's sins and earn a royal pardon. The other officials have no choice but to admit that Kraven is easily the smartest guy in the room. The Emperor hands the mission to Kraven, telling him to ensure the lady's safety. But the moment the public meeting ends, the Emperor sneaks into a dark room to meet with his top assassin. He coldly orders the hitman to murder both Willina and Castile the second they are released. The Emperor plans to use their deaths as the perfect excuse to start a massive world war. Meanwhile, back in Iceland City, the vibe is completely different. Ryan is casually strolling through the sunny streets with Leah, waving like a beloved celebrity while the grateful citizens cheer for him. The locals thank him for giving them a proper human life, but Ryan is actually out on a secret mission. He's scanning every single passerby, trying to find a high-class talent to run his factories. Unfortunately, his system keeps flashing normal person over end, leaving him completely frustrated. He's been doing this talent hunt for 3 days straight with zero luck. He considers asking his royal siblings for help, but remembers they have their own wars to fight. Plus, his sister just gifted him Rosalind, so he can't exactly complain about being understaffed without looking like a total brat. Leah notices he is completely drained and begs him to take a rest. He complains that his factories can't even start running because the elves haven't sent their money yet. And teaching chemistry to primitive magicians would probably blow up the city. He's so physically exhausted he feels like he's about to faint right on the pavement. Frustrated by the stressful system tasks, Ryan groans and rests his heavy head directly on Leah's soft tummy. She gently strokes his hair and chats with him, trying her best to soothe his massive headache and absorb all the exhaustion from his brutal 3-talent hunt. Suddenly, a loud, chaotic argument down the street catches his attention. A furious merchant is yelling at a self-proclaimed alchemist named Armando. Ryan sighs and scans the loud guy's stats, only for his eyes to pop out as the system screen lights up with legendary attributes. He bursts into a massive grin, realizing his painful search is finally over. Armando is busy getting kicked out of a shop, desperately trying to convince a trader that his insect repellent was actually a top-tier product, not a fruit killer. The shopkeeper isn't buying it, but Ryan, watching from the shadows, is absolutely fascinated. He's found his Gaia talking goldmine of talent. Ryan walks straight up to the kneeling alchemist and tells him he's interested in his gear. Armando's eyes light up. He thinks he's finally reeled in a fat sheep he can overcharge for his cheap potions. He starts pulling out his inventory, wondering just how much gold he can squeeze out of this fancy-looking guy. Armando introduces himself as a reclusive genius alchemist, promising he can whip up any potion to satisfy a lord's desires. Ryan just listens, trying to keep a straight face while analyzing the guy's potential, wondering if he's actually a genius or just a really committed con artist. Ryan asks for the price list and Armando starts his sales pitch. He shows off a green bottle for running faster, a yellow one that makes things glow at night, and a very special adult potion for private fun. Leah leans in close, whispering for Ryan to run because all alchemists are professional scammers. Ryan doesn't budge, telling Leah not to worry since he's already seen through the guy's act. Armando keeps bragging, green is for speed, yellow is for glowing, and this one? It'll make your night with the Mrs. Legendary. But Ryan just sighs, bluntly calling his entire collection cheap, low-class junk. Armando is beyond insulted, ready to fight until he sees Leah's terrifying "I'm about to kill you" glare. Ryan then drops the hammer, expertly breaking down the toxic, low-efficiency chemical components in the potions. He even suggests a better recipe using calcium, leaving the alchemist completely stunned. Armando is sweating, demanding to know how a random lord knows his top-secret recipe. Ryan just laughs, calling it basic chemistry, and brutally crushes the guy's ego by pointing out that his secret isn't worth a dime if he can't even afford his next meal. Ryan offers the deal of a lifetime, swear loyalty, and he'll teach him the true way of science. When Leah reveals that Ryan is the city's new lord, Armando's mood instantly sours. He makes a ridiculous face, spitting out insults and declaring he'd rather starve than serve a dog of a nobleman. Armando's hatred for nobles is practically radiating off him. Leah loses her cool and prepares to knock some sense into him, but Ryan stops her. He's seen this kind of bitterness before and decides to let the guy talk, even as the situation gets tenser by the second. Ryan looks Armando in the eye and lays out the final choice. He can either rot away in poverty or learn real chemistry and physics to literally change the world. It's an offer between living like a delusional crank or becoming a legend. The choice is entirely up to him.